So, anime onlys, do you understand now? Do you understand why I love Nobunaga so much? Why I feel like he's my favorite character of Drifters? Because this episode is a perfect showcase to why this man is a savage and a badass. What this man did to the man that was in charge, the lead of this entire castle. He's like, don't worry, you'll be with your soldiers very soon. I want to mix you with the soil and shit, and you'll be a part of them. I'm like, yo, this man is fucking savage. Like, Nobunaga is such a good character. His lines, to his antics, to the way he just displays himself, and then the art and animation being displayed to make him look even crazier. I just love the way the anime is handling his character, and even Toyohisa. Oh, I am a big fan of the way Toyohisa is being handled, but I want to talk about my boy Nobunaga first, because as I've said since the first episode, he is my favorite character, and seeing this man just go pure savage, he's like telling the elves, you need to keep working, you're gonna die. I'm like, yo, this is so good. He's just making them work, building like this little wooden fortress, taking tactics from other people, and then he has arrows full of shit just hitting people. And let me explain what this all means, okay? In terms of war, what was going on makes so much sense, because these soldiers that were sent to eradicate the elves or kind of quell a rebellion, they are not really going to get much out of this. For instance, it's not like an actual war to where, you know, it's like a full-on blown army versus a full-on blown army, and they're going at it, and whoever wins gets the spoils, and the people that, you know, fight all these people can rank up and be promoted, you know, different parts of their army. And with this battle right now, the people that are trying to suppress the elves, they won't get anything out of it, because they're just regular elves, they're pretty much slaves to them, and they won't get nothing. So, overall, the any way to really have high morale is not there. But to go even further than that, you have it to where they, honestly, when they're getting shot by arrows that have shit on them, you gotta think about how demoralizing that is. Because even if you get a scratch, okay, even a scratch, that is life-threatening, especially in their era right now. That's life-threatening. Getting shot by an arrow with shit on it, that's gonna get infected, it's gonna be bad. You might die in general, so that automatically will demoralize you. Because if you even get a scratch, you realize, holy fuck, I'm dead. It's even worse than getting shot insta-kill. For instance, if you got shot in the head, you're dead as fuck. But if you got grazed by the arm and you got hit by an arrow with shit on it, you'll have time to process in your mind, like, I just got hit by an arrow full of shit. I'm probably going to lose my arm or I'm going to die. And you got to realize that's what was going through everybody's mind when they didn't get killed by the arrows. They were like, we're dead. We're like, this is GG for us, and there's no water to wash it because the elves put the well full of shit. So overall, the tactics that Nobunaga used, it was brilliant because it's a perfect way to demoralize an enemy army. Using shit, making sure the water can't be used to flush out the wounds and all that to make sure, you know, they can't, you know, help themselves in case, you know, shit gets into it. Just overall, the way it was done was perfect, and it was a way to showcase how savage Nobunaga can be and what tactics he will use to overcome his enemies. And so I gotta ask right now, before I go any further, anime onlys, how do you feel about Nobunaga? How do you feel about his methods and how he operates when it comes to him going up against his opponents? Do you like that side of him, or do you think he's rather crusty for doing shit like that? But overall, though, I'm just very curious, do you all like Nobunaga, or do you hate him? Now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about Yoichi. So Yoichi has a flashback, and we get to see Yoichi's brother. And Yoichi thinks about what's going on currently in this fight, what Nobunaga is doing, is very similar to Yoichi's brother. For instance, Yoichi's remembering his brother, and what's going on is very similar. And he realizes what, you know, his brother did is very, very dark, evil, underhanded, and it also has it to where, you know, this man was just like a monster. And the way Nobunaga is doing certain things throughout this episode, it makes Yoichi think about that. And it shows you what type of personality Nobunaga has, and how maybe Yoichi might have some form of spat or dispute with him in the near future. So that's the big point of it. For instance, you know, overall, what was going on with Yoichi in that development we got and / characterization. So there's obviously going to be some form of, I guess, dispute between these two characters, Nobunaga and Yoichi. Maybe not right now, maybe not next week's episode, maybe not, 10 episodes from now, but way off in the future, there's a possibility that some form of dispute might happen between these characters. Now, Toyohisa, on the other hand, this is a character that got a lot of, I guess, characterization. We got to see overall his morals and how he views death in life. And usually warriors, when they're on the battlefield, they think of life and death very differently. So, like, their honor, their pride, everything's very different from how we normally are. And Toyohisa doesn't view death in a way of the body. If he was to kill someone, he shows honor and pays respects to their head. He believes that their head is where the soul is housed, and their lower body, since he's already paid respects to the head, he's given him a proper burial, he's washed him, he's cleaned him up and all that, and he's, paid his respects and treated him like a human being. He doesn't care what happens to the lower half, anything to do with the lower half of the body, and you see that the way he displays this with when Nobunaga uses their bodies to further his goals, what he wants to do, when he wants to make the black powder. Now, FYI, if you don't know what that is, I'm going to kind of let you know. It was pretty obvious when you looked at the chemicals and different compounds and stuff that was used in the episode, but just in case you don't understand what he's making when it comes to black powder, gunpowder. That's what's going on. He's trying to make gunpowder, and Toyohisa doesn't care if the bodies are used. What's going on right now is the natural course of things of human bodies. For instance, eventually bodies are going to decay, they're going to get eaten by bugs, and, eventually they could be turned into gunpowder. And so Toyohisa has no problem with that. It's just long as if, their heads get chopped off and he gives them a proper burial, then he doesn't give a shit whatever happens to the rest of the body. So we see the morals of how Toyohisa carries himself and how he does care about the people he killed and how he does show them respect, even if they were kind of shitty human beings. He shows them respect. And he's not someone that's just clearly evil. He does have a code of honor, and he is like a real warrior. He doesn't just go and kill someone and not care about wherever their body lands. He does show respect, and that was a good way to showcase he is human. He isn't someone that's just completely savage and wants to go on a killing spree, and that's about it. He does show respect. Now, Nobunaga, on the other hand, this man just... It's crazy when you think about what he's doing right now. I mean, he's using bodies. He's using bodies to turn them into gunpowder. And in a way, it's kind of disgusting, and it's something you would not expect to see in a show. And especially the way it was displayed, I expected it to be censored. And I'm surprised. I'm really, 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 really surprised that this, overall event of this episode was not censored. I mean, to be honest, there was just so much violence and gore throughout this episode. I thought I was going to see black bars and lines all over the place, but I didn't. I did not see, honestly, any censorship. I mean, there might have been some subtle censorship, but I mean, overall, though, the main moral message of the episode when it came to heads being completely cut off, to, their bodies getting impaled by arrows covered in shit, I mean, I'm just surprised none of this was censored. So well done, Drifters, the anime, for, not being censored to that, because, I mean, I'm just surprised they were willing to show shit. I mean, that I didn't expect, but also the way the violence was in this episode, it definitely makes me excited for the future episodes when it gets a little bit more violent. Yes, it does get a little bit more violent, so yeah, I'm excited. In anime only, you should be excited as well. Now, let's talk about the scene towards the end of the episode. So, overall, they are invading the castle. After the battle in the village, after the elves burned down their own village to kind of say goodbye to their village and what shackled them and what kept them there for so long as slaves, they burn it down and continue marching forward to go after the castle and take it over. That's kind of the objective right now, what Nobunaga is trying to do, and also Toyohisa. Now, with this, they disguise themselves as the soldiers. They're using armor to increase their war efforts. And in a way, this is very smart and it makes a lot of sense. And it kind of saddens me that not a lot of manga or anime in general tend to do this. And I like how Drifters really showcases a realistic side to this. Because, I mean, it sounds morbid, it sounds dark as fuck. But, I mean, in actual war, you might take weapons or armor from someone and start using them to battle against the enemy. And that's kind of what's going on here. Nobunaga, Toyohisa, Yoichi, and the elves, they're currently taking the different type of weapons and armor from the enemies they kill to make sure they can continue on marching forward. I mean, they gotta continue to have this war efforts. They need to continue to have resources to march forward. You can't just keep marching forward on the stuff you started with. That's just not gonna happen. I mean, you're gonna eventually run out of resources. So we get to see a side of this episode to where Nobunaga, he's figuring out a problem to where he could figure out how to make gunpowder, for instance, ammunition, and you also have it to where they're picking up weapons and armor and stuff stuff from the soldiers they kill, and they're continuing to march forward. So every time they conquer something, they're gaining more power. Not just land, but they're also gaining more resources to continue to march forward. And I like how this show shows that. It doesn't try to kind of bypass it, push it to the side, or kind of slightly hint at it. We legit see them trying to continue to use resources after killing people. And at the end, it proves to be very helpful. For instance, Nobunaga and them, they actually managed to sneak inside the castle, and they completely overtake the castle, which leads into the Toyohisa moment at the end. So Toyohisa, he stops an elf from about to kill a soldier. Like, a soldier says, I surrender, I surrender. He throws down his weapon, and usually you would still probably kill the person. But Toyohisa stopped the elf. He's like, no, you can't kill this man. You can't kill this man because it's just not respectful. It's not, you know, honorable to kill someone when they already surrender. They have no will to fight. It's just, there's no point in it. You know, show respect and show that you're, like, kind of a better person. He's like, here you go, don't do it. And then they continue marching forward. So Toyohisa is trying to teach them a lesson to say, if someone surrenders, and they really surrender, and they just don't want to fight anymore, you shouldn't just slit their throat right there and kill them. You just let them be. I mean, there's just no point. There's no honor in it. There's nothing you get out of it. So, overall, Toyohisa told him a very good thing. But then, at the end of the episode, we get to a scene that, honestly, this is the scene I expected to be censored, but damn, it really wasn't as censored as I thought it was going to be. And that's what got me caught by surprise. So, I think everybody kind of understands what was going on at the end of the episode. I don't think I necessarily need to dive into the deeper things going on, but just to quickly cover it, obviously the female elves were being raped. They were being raped. They were being used, okay? And they were pretty much sex slaves. And it's really fucked up when you see this, and the way it was showed that they were being beaten, they were not really probably being fed well, just overall they were having a very, very horrible time being imprisoned. And when you see this, Toyohisa looks at it, rage builds up inside of him, and it shows you what type of person he is, how he carries himself when he sees something like this, and how he views, you know, people being used, for instance, being raped, or women being raped. We see what type of personality he has. He's like, no, I take back what I just said about, you know, the person surrendering and letting him live. Everybody in this fucking castle is a blight. We need to kill every single one. And that shows you what type of personality he has. For instance, he was going to let them go because, you know, he didn't know what was really going on. But after seeing what was really happening in this castle and how everybody, every soldier was a part of this, regardless if you didn't commit an act against these women, you still were a part of it because you're a part of the army, you're also in this castle with them, and so you had to know what was going on. And so Toyohisa pretty much says, everybody in this fucking castle is guilty regardless, and they're a blight, and they all need to be exterminated, and because they're all equally guilty for what they just did. So, he pretty much announces nobody's gonna live. Everybody fucking dies. And that right there shows you what type of personality he has and how he views things. I mean, he's willing to show honor, he's willing to show people after he kills them compassion and treat them like a human being and bury them, but most likely the way it, you know, the ending of the episode was, he's not going to treat these guys with any respect at all because of what they were doing. And that leads into the situation where we have a cliffhanger, and you can only assume that Toyohisa is about to go on a rampage. So yeah, I'm going to ask, anime onlys, how do you all feel about Drifter so far? How do you feel about this series? Do you enjoy it? Did you hate it? I mean, let me know honestly in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.